with the Ministry of Mines and Mining Development. Engineer Munodawafa, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on Capi Talk this evening.
Good evening, listeners.
Fantastic.
Thank you for inviting me.
What a pleasure. And we're also live on Facebook, so we've also got a few viewers who are also locked on to the program. If you're also locked on, it's at Capi Talk FM at Rumbidzai Venge. Please send us your messages and interact with us on that platform as well. We want to talk about safety and promoting safety for miners during this rainy season, and I believe beyond. So Engineer Munodawafa, please, can you help us just understand your duties and responsibility in the Ministry of Mines and Mining Development?
Thank you so much. Firstly, my duty is to advise miners technically on how to mine safely and also efficiently. That from my department going downstream, all the officers within my department. So one of our major tasks is to make sure that our miners do mine safely and efficiently.
And I know that we're going to be breaking that down a little bit more as the conversation goes on. And just to give a general feel of what we're talking about, what, by way of percentages or even an estimate would really be helpful, Engineer. If you could break it down for us, the pie chart. What are the percentages in terms of the large-scale miners, the small-scale miners, and the artisanal miners within the country?
Small-scale miners and artisanal miners are one and the same thing. The big miners, I can say they contribute, in terms of numbers, they are about 20%, the big miners. And the small-scale miners contribute about 80% of all the miners in the country.
Wow. Well, for our listeners and viewers, you see how my eyes opened up. Really? So there are way more, artisanal and small-scale miners than there are large-scale miners?
Yes, we've got a large number of small-scale miners in the country. Large miners are a few, if I can put it that way.
Okay, I always thought it was the other way around, but we're unpacking it and getting a little bit deeper into that. And it's often said, ASM, artisanal, small scale, and you say there is no difference. Please, for the avoidance of doubt, is it the same thing? Amakorokoza fall under there. Who is an artisanal miner? Who's a small scale miner?
In short, maybe I should define a miner: someone who is a registered miner, someone who is registered, who is mining on a claim that is registered. That's what we define as a miner. Defining them to be small or big, it depends on the size of the operation. Some of them have got very large operations, which are the ones we are terming as big miners. Then some maybe just a few people, maybe a family project where there are just four or five people. Or it could be just an individual who is doing his own thing. It could be a group of people who are doing as a group, maybe 20 people. Those are we term as small-scale miners.
But the idea there, if I'm getting you right, is they must have a registered claim, and there's a formality and a licensing, and you as the Ministry of Mines know that this person is actually on this particular piece of land, and so on. So when we then talk about the Makorokoza, I want our listeners to just appreciate, the manner of, and there's so many of them that we're dealing with, when we say that.
Maybe the word Makorokosa is used as a derogatory word
for artisanal miners.
For artisanal miners, but in other terms, it's being used for illegal miners. So in terms of that, you might find that it's being used vice versa, which might not give the true reflection. So for me, if you call someone a Makorokosa, it's a derogatory name, maybe just call them small-scale miners. Then we can then separate to say these are illegal, these are licensed miners.
Thank you so much for that, because in my head I was thinking, there's that aspect. So under the artisanal, and to break the other people who think that artisanal also encompasses illegal, but thank you for that distinction, and it really is important. Now, as we move on and we've ascertained who stands where and what the percentages look like, what are some of the dangers that are associated with rain in the mining industry?
With the rains, like we have at the moment, we've got some rains, we're in summer. We have got problems of flooding. We lose a lot of miners during this time of the year through flooding, or even mudslide. You find the ground it looks stable, but after some rains, the whole mountain goes and buries some people, especially in the low-lying areas. That's where we get people being flooded. Some may have put in their shaft in the wrong place, in the wrong position, and when the rains come, when the floods come, they are flooded. Then there is also mine collapsing. Some of our artisanal miners, like I said, they are working in old mines, backfield mines, where they just go in and start mining. They don't know the stability of the ground. They just start mining. In the end, that ground, because it is saturated with a lot of water, it is bound to collapse on its own. So during the rain season, those are some of the challenges that we meet, and we lose a lot of miners through that. I can give an example. What happened in 2019 at Battlefields? We lost 24 miners in one day, which was
very
terrible.
tragic.
Yeah,
very tragic.
So we encourage miners to move away from low-lying areas or riverbeds when they've got some rains like this, for their safety.
I'm also looking at a report here that recorded over 463 fatalities in the mining industry in the past 3 years, and they attribute this to a laxity in mining regulations, and also due to an increase in the number of mining locations. Do you believe that this is what has contributed to that high number?
No, I don't believe in that. There is laxity in the mining regulations. The mining regulations are there to help us and help the miners themselves. The number of fatalities, like I've just mentioned, like this time of the year, we advise miners to move away, to stop mining. Then they take a break, then they can come back. Those are some of the problems that we get from the rains, especially during the rainy season. Then also some of our miners might be ignorant. Some of them are those who just start mining when they are not registered. If you are registered, when you get when you formalize, you find that you are told some of the things that you are supposed to do, which are towards safety and other things. So if we've got too many miners, but you can't call them all miners, we've got so many diggers who are digging for our minerals because they don't know what they are doing. We need people to be trained, and our office is there to help anyone at any time. You can just walk into my office without an appointment. I help you. Doesn't matter where you're coming from. Our officers are supposed to give you that assistance. The officers in the mining engineering department.
And the assistance that you offer, engineer, how far does it go? I mean, do you also do on-site visits? Do you check the structural viability? I know you talked about safety and effective practices within all of these mining the diggers when the diggers are undertaking their digging.
Yes, like I said at the beginning, that we also do enforcement of mining regulations. We do some routine mine inspections at all mines, whether big or small, and we correct some of the issues. We give advice to the miners how to go about safe mining. So that's how we are trying to alleviate this problem of fatalities in mines.
So if I'm, I'm listening to the program for the first time today, engineer, and I'm thinking, you know what, I want to formalize. How do they go about it? I mean, you spoke about your office being open. I'm coming from Chaka. And I come into your office, I want to be assisted. Where do I begin? What are some of the important and essential things one must know before undertaking mining?
First, like I said, you need to be formalized. You need to register the area that you want to mine from. That is done at our provincial offices. But even if you come to our head office, we'll still refer you to the right people to go and give you the finer details of what you need to do. You do and go and register your mine. Then you do all the requirements. They are given on a chart where you follow. You can. It's a checklist of some sort where you can what you are supposed to do and how you are supposed to do it. If there are any queries, you can still have to be assisted by our office when you go to do the formalization.
But your office is a pinnacle in all of this and a very important, mainstay, and it's important to always come through your office. So there are people out there. Yeah, please go ahead. Yes.
Sorry, we've got some with the provincial offices where we do the registrations, so they go through there. I'm just saying, all our offices are open. You can still go in and be assisted. Not necessarily coming to the head office.
Because you're going to have lots of people knocking and saying, where is engineer Munodawafa? He said that he was available. No, thanks so much for clarifying that. So at any of the mining offices within the country will assist them with that. It's often said, that it's only nationals, or Zimbabwean nationals, who have the right to hold mining claims. Would you like to speak a little bit about that?
It's not that as such only Zimbabwean nationals. Anyone can still peg a mine and formalize it. It's not just Zimbabwean nationals, because some of the big mines are for foreign multinationals who own vast big mines. It's not just Zimbabweans.
Very important. Thank you so much for highlighting that as well. We are in the exchange this evening talking about promoting safety for miners during this rainy season. And my guest is Engineer Michael Jackson Munodawafa, Chief Government Mining Engineer in the Ministry of Mines and Mining Development, as we break down exactly what some of the dangers are and very importantly how you as a small scale miner can interact with the relevant ministry. Now, coming to that, in terms of that interaction that you have with the small scale miners, how you talked about the provincial access. How many provinces have these mining offices, just as a way of notification for those who might be in remote areas?
We've got 8 provincial offices with the offices. Then we've got 4 sub-offices in some of the big provinces, like Mashonaland West. We've got Kadoma as a sub-office. Matabele North, we've got Wange as a sub-office. Matabele South, we've got Blawa as a sub-office. Then we've got Midlands, we've got Shawan as a sub-office, where people can go and get assistance, which they would get from the main provincial offices.
And then in the event of a mine collapse, the shaft collapses, in the event that it fills up with water, it floods, how is the intervention there done, or how do you intervene as a ministry?
As a ministry, what we do, suppose we get a report that there is a mine collapse, say in Bindura, we have to rush there to mobilize the resources to help, and then we lead the rescue operation, in the best way we can, at the same time not endangering any other rescuers in the process. we try to do it as safe as possible. We avoid losing another life after we have had a collapse. But we take the best way to do it. And in most cases, we have managed to rescue some people alive. In some cases, we have lost lives.
It's always very sad when lives are lost. And now coming to, okay, so if a registered, okay, so are you okay? What is your criteria? Perhaps let me put it this way: when you are intervening, do you first ask what is your mine claim number? Where are you mining? You know, who is the claim registered under? I'm asking just to ascertain. You know, I think you know, you can see where I'm going with my question.
Yes, let me just answer on that one. Where there's the danger already, we don't ask whether you are registered or not. We go there and do our job to assist in the rescue operation or in the retrieval operation. That is something that will come later, or might not even know whether that person was registered, was involved in the accident. So we just help everyone, regardless whether they are registered or not. It's our duty to assist everyone in case of an accident.
And in terms of that accessibility now, I mean, at these provincial offices, this information is there readily available for contact to be made?
Yes, the information is there at the provincial offices.
Now looking into, okay, I want to come back to, you know, some of the dangers around illegal mining and some of the illegal mining activities. Let's unpack these and look specifically at how the ministry has been reacting to these malpractices or these offenses that are being committed by illegal miners.
Illegal miners, most of the areas where we've had the accidents which involve either mine collapse or what we call gassing, or accident from explosives just explode on their own, or someone misusing the explosives. In most of these cases, it will be because people who are mining illegally, they don't know what is dangerous and what is not dangerous. What they are just aiming is to get their gold or whatever mineral they are mining. They are not too concerned about the other things. It's only when you take them aside and explain to them, like we are doing some what we call awareness campaigns in all the provinces. It's spearheaded from my office, at the head office. We go around all the provinces, and the provinces also do on their own. That has been helpful, is that some of the people whom we meet when we do those campaigns, they tell you, why didn't you tell us this before we got into problems like this? There's also problems of these illegal miners on the environment, land degradation. It's a problem. You might find that some people mining here today, you go there tomorrow, they are gone. So it's a big issue that we need all our miners to be educated, so that they can maybe, if they are formalized, we can work with them and give them the right direction. But some of them choose not to be formalized.
And I suppose then it becomes such an uphill task to then get them to formalize. What other measures have been put in place, incentives perhaps, because I then imagine that, you know, when the miners then get the product, you know, that they're still able to mill and sell without any of these regulations or licensing that is required.
Yeah, but on the milling and the like, we also need the millers to be registered, and they keep their books, which we inspect from now and then. But you see, at times there are some who who break the law blatantly, they just hide some of the things. So we are trying by all means to be on top of the situation. At the same time, we are also with these awareness campaigns, we are getting some results. Like now, we've got some provinces which are starting to also to be involved in safety awareness in terms of small-scale miners. Small-scale miners wanting to join big mines to be trained for first aid and the like. We've got an example of Matabeleland South, the area around Gwanda. We are helping them through the School of Mines first aid training. Then we've got Midlands, Berengwa area. Well, they are also going through the training at the School of Mines.
Oh, fantastic. So there's a lot happening in that vein. But, I'm really still very curious to find out. Okay, so you come and you inspect my mining mill. I've got a license, but I've been milling for illegal miners. What penalties could I possibly face?
Firstly, we give you a warning. There may be some fine, but when you continue like that, we can be forced to close your shop.
So quite serious.
That's how bad it can be.
Wow. So I hope that the message is being received loud and clear there, that, whilst you might get a warning, but, if you're then found, it will get as serious as you being forced to close your mine, perhaps a revocation of your license. Is that also a possible consequence that could visit somebody who's doing this sort of thing?
Yes, sure. That's what you end up doing if our advice is not taken seriously.
Well, there you have it. Very serious stuff on the exchange this evening. So if you are found under Imbava, I suppose, and a very stern stance there against all those who are perhaps facilitating functions of illegal miners, or also not keeping their books and following the regulations as given by the Ministry of Mines and Mining Development. Now moving on into the use of modern technology in mining. What's the state currently of mechanization in mining in Zimbabwe?
We are trying by all means to assist those small-scale miners like we talked about. We've got what we call the Mining Industry Loan Fund, which got some money recently. But it has been going on for some time, where we assist small-scale miners with the current equipment for them to grow, because we don't want to see a small-scale miner whom we have assisted today in the same bracket. Next year we need to see them grow up to the next level, maybe to the big mine. We are talking of the big mines that we have around in the country. We also want to see the small scale grow up, so we've got a facility where we assist the small scale miners with the equipment for them to grow, because some of our small scale miners don't have the equipment, but they've got the resource and they don't have the equipment. Then that will be a handicap. So if we help them with the equipment, they should be able to grow.
Absolutely. And what about rebates or import incentives? Is there anything of that sort for some, for a small scale miner who may be wanting to import equipment for mining or to upscale their mining operation?
Yes, there's a duty rebate on all mining equipment. So it's an incentive on its own. If you can be able to import on your own, just need the ministry to assist you to get the rebate through ZIMRA.
Sounds very good to me, and I think this is information that was not readily available. I can really see some of the messages here. People are saying, "Oh, really? They can do that?" And I think it's definitely, making the conversation lighter, and it's definitely shedding a lot of light there. Now, looking at the standard in terms of mining safety, share with us some of the essential things that a a mine that is up to code and is meeting and ticking all of the boxes that the ministry sets up should have in terms of safety?
We've got our checklist when you go for inspections. It has got a lot of things, but the main items that we can say someone is compliant. Every mine should have a manager, where the manager is the one who understands all our mining laws. It's not just anyone you just speak on the street. It's not just a manager like myself. Suppose I've got a mine, I just go and pick my brother. Can you be a manager? No. That manager should be someone who has got what we call a blasting license. It's something that is attained through some training, practical training at a mine, for you to attain that, for you to be classified as a manager. Then we also look at personal protective equipment, hard hats, safety shoes and the like. Then we also need some licenses, like people who are using explosives. You can't just use explosives without a license, and you can't buy explosives without a license. So those are some of the things. Explosives, on the explosive side, why we say we need the license, you should be able to use those explosives in the right way. Otherwise, you'll kill a lot of people. It's like someone getting a gun who doesn't know how to use it. He can shoot in the wrong direction and kill everyone. So then on the actual mine itself, the positioning of your mine, your shafts and the like. You don't just go and put your shafts maybe in the middle of the river. Like I said, there's problem of flooding. Then you need to put your shaft where it's strong. The ground is strong, not that way it's loose. So those are some of the things so that you don't have ground collapse, where we say mine collapsing. So we avoid that. So there are some of the things. Then we also see how we are mining. In some cases, people are mining too close, too many shafts, like our small scale miners. They mine too many shafts close to each other. That ground is unstable, so it's bound to collapse at any time.
Very important information, and I'm really seeing how important it is to have this information, because people often perish for lack of knowledge, as it says biblically. But I'm even starting to think that having all these mines next to each other, we want to also how then do you respond to when you go for your inspections and maybe you see that on the ground? What sort of action do you take, and how do you respond to the artisanal miners then who may say, we're trying to make ends meet?
Yes, when we go for inspections, yes, we understand that people want to make a living, but a dead man cannot make a living. So we say, let's save our life first, then we can enjoy the fruits of our mining. If we mine dangerously, we won't enjoy it. Even our families won't enjoy the fruits of our sweat. Let's do it the right way and to enjoy for a long time. Mining, in some cases, we are losing a lot of valuable mineral resources that we are leaving in the ground because we are using the wrong method of mining. And where we are supposed to get maybe 10 kgs, we end up getting just 1 kg. The other 9, because we've used the wrong method of mining, we are leaving into the ground. So that's why like I said, we've started some awareness campaigns. We look at all those things to teach the miners how to mine the right way and do it the safe way. And at the end of the day, they will benefit. Because when we are doing our awareness, we are also encouraging them to use the professional people who are trained for them to help them in their mining. But if they do it on their own, at times they fall short of what they are supposed to get, where they will be supposed to get 10 kgs, they end up getting maybe or just 1 kg or maybe 500 grams, which is way, way below what they're supposed to get, and they don't grow in that way.
Very, very important. And then there is no growth. Now looking at, the promotion of safer mining techniques or safer mining policies, how does this advance the country in general? And then we'll look at how this will advance NDS1, how this will advance Vision 2030 as well.
Looking at if people are mining in a safe way, and if they improve on production, efficiency, there's no time lost because someone has died. We stop all the operations. If someone dies at any mine, all the operations are stopped. That's a loss, a big loss. But if we also improve on efficiency and also growth, in general growth of income for individuals, for the country as well. So we are more or less looking at the Vision 2030. We are by putting new technology and mining efficiently, we are pulling towards the upper middle income bracket in 2030, or even before that, if people are to listen to what we assist them in doing.
I like the or before. So definitely it's important for our miners to take these things on board and not be penny wise and pound foolish.
Yes, sure, you are very right. Because you might say, I'm making money today, but you are not, in actual fact, you are not making money. You are making peanuts. There is quite a lot of money that you are losing in the process, or that you might lose in the process. So we encourage people to take our advice, especially on safety, that will improve our efficiency.
We've also got lots of messages coming in here, engineer. This one says, are there any deliberate strategies that are directed at small-scale miners, particularly on financial literacy? We hear a number of these types of miners being fortunate enough to get a significant amount of gold, but they fail to improve their lives due to cash mismanagement. Muma mining areas munenyaya umu. Your comment?
Sure, that is very true. If someone just gets maybe a big chunk of gold, if he's not if he hasn't prepared for that, he gets too excited and uses all that money over something that is maybe not worth it, and that is gone. I think if someone is registered and is taken through the whole thing for mining, you understand that I can make money today, but I can reinvest that money and get more money in the mining business. Some of them are thinking just if you get a kg today of gold, that's it. He doesn't think about what I will get tomorrow. You can say close that mine and I'm going. I've got enough. But the kg could have been maybe hundreds of kgs if you had done it the right way, and that could have helped the whole community, not just yourself as an individual, the whole community as well as the whole country. But some of them, because the knowledge is power, they say, if you don't have the knowledge, you are poor.
I couldn't agree with you anymore. We've also got, I think we'll take one caller before we wrap it up for this evening, engineer. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Hello? Yes, hello, good evening. You are through to the deep dive.
Hello?
Yes, you're through to Cappy Talk.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, well, there we go. I don't know what happened there, but nonetheless, we are still enjoying this conversation and hoping that it is shedding a lot of light there for you. And for somebody who who's listening to this program, engineer, and they're thinking, I want to get into mining, but they might not understand that it is a vocation. Just walk us through that. What is actually required to get into the business of mining? Do I need to get, requisite training? Is it on the job training, or are there actually courses that are provided by the School of Mines? I believe there was an institution that was being run.
Yes, anyone can get into mining and get the prerequisite training. Zimbabwe School of Mines has got some short courses that they are conducting on training miners from the grassroots, and also can have some on-the-job training through other people who are already mining. You can be trained and be a miner and move out and go and start your own mine as an individual. So there are chances of getting trained. I would advise the best way to be trained is to get to an established mine and have some practical training there. Then you can move on and do your own mine. At the same time, doing some short courses with the School of Mines, you will be well equipped.
So even me, I can enroll, and it's not too late.
No, it's not too late. You can still go and be a big miner.
Absolutely, you've encouraged me. Watch this space, engineer. You never know. Babani Kinbudidiro has an interesting question. He says, may you kindly ask the engineer what checks they have on Chinese miners in the country? And you say that he goes on to say that there's a very worrisome site along Mazoe River in the Shamba area where there seems to be alluvial mining happening, and the land has been so destroyed, no words can explain it. It's possibly uncultivatable for the next God knows how many years. They destroy the land and simply move on to the next piece. No compensation whatever to the locals. This appears to be quite a topical issue, and perhaps I'd like you to take a moment to look into that and to answer it for us. These concerns being raised, are there any checks that you have on the Chinese miners? And I know you also said foreigners can hold mining claims and licenses to mine.
Okay, let me try and answer on that. Everyone who is mining in Zimbabwe, we have no limits of checking on inspections. We can inspect any mine at any time, as long as our inspectors can be at any mine at any time. But you find that at times we can't be at all places at the same time. You find that the moment you give your bag to one mine, something drastic happens there. Either they are doing it deliberately or without the knowledge. So we have no special cases. Everyone is treated the same when it comes to inspections and safety. And looking at, yes, we've had problems with the people mining in the rivers, not a good number of rivers, but we have since stopped all mining along rivers.
So in other words, if someone does see this ongoing, how do they deal with that situation? Yes. How can they interact with your office?
We're supposed to give that information to our office, provincial office, or the police. They can still do that.
Babaniki, there you have it. Anzi, there are no sacred cows, so everyone is subject to the scrutiny of the Ministry of Mines. And if you see something, say something. Please take some of these issues up because they say they can only be in one place or three places at the same time as far as their team will allow. And I do understand that. Last question coming in here. Mudara Chakwa says, please ask our Honorable Chief Director, how do artisanal miners who are registered operate, especially at the mines where they operate from? Are people allocated portions to work from the date of registration, or do they work collectively from one mine? Because I'm trying to get an understanding of how illegal miners surface and they start wars every now and then. We always hear in the media, and we always hear some of these turf wars in the media. And then they also go on to say, are there police stations, are there police bases or police stations around these mines, or uniform forces that travel to mines and patrol whenever they are called to react to one of these wars? And his biggest plea is that your office, engineer, should not tire on educating all miners on safety. So it's a two-tired question there. I think the first one is the question of the collective portions. How do they go about it, and how do these turf wars result then with some of the illegal miners, and then the question of the police stations around these areas.
Thank you for that question. What happens? Someone is got a registered mine, then the illegal miners will come through. The person who is registered is supposed to provide some security. It's just like owning a valuable piece of land where there is something valuable there. You have to provide security. Yes, there are police stations around the country, but at times they only come when they are requested to come to a mine if you have got problems. Then on collective owning, you can form a syndicate where you can be a good number of people who can be mining in the same place. You maybe have one guy as your manager who will lead you. Then you all put your resources together. That's what more or less we are encouraging most of these small scale miners. But let's put our resources together so that we can mine. Then afterwards, when we've grown, we can now go in different ways and grow in our different areas. But it's good for people to, when we say formalize, we say let's put our resources together as a group. It's cheaper that way. If you put $10 and I put $10 and he puts $10, we've got $30. We can buy something that is worth $25. But if I keep my $10 and you keep your $10, I can't buy. We can't all buy the $25 thing.
Very, very true. So together we achieve more.
Yes,
absolutely. Engineer Munodawafa, we've fast run out of time, but allow me to thank you for being with us and for imparting so much essential information around safety in the mines, and also on some of the key processes. Now, your parting shot as we close off this evening.
Okay, for my parting shot, I want to say, all those who want to mine, and those who are into mining, please, let's value our lives first. And when you see us coming, whether we have to do some inspections or to do some awareness campaigns, let's work together. Let's be one team, and let's work together for the betterment of our lives, both at community and as the country at large. That's my advice. We'll be visiting all the provinces starting from next month. We'll be visiting Midlands province for awareness campaigns. Let's all meet there and listen to what we have to share with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being with us this evening. And I was just chuckling with engineer that his names happen to be Michael Jackson, with an O, not an E, with an E, not an O, he said. But thank you so much, engineer Michael Jackson Munodawafa, Chief Government Mining Engineer for the Ministry of Mines and Mining Development. All the very best, and we look forward to speaking to you very soon and catching up to see how well the awareness campaigns are going. Thank you so much for coming, and good night.